What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Out of Our League. Did everything work properly? Yes. Okay, good. Still working out the kinks on the intro and everything, making sure I don't have the audio coming through when the intro is playing again. Ugh, that was embarrassing the past couple times. Anyway, it's going to be a pretty fun one this week. I'm your host today, Gage. Down, let's see, below, we've got Ben at Please Be Excited.
Hey, what's happening?
Down, I put him in the lower right-hand corner. We got Philip J. Woodward.
Hello.
And over there, we have our special guest for the week, my cousin, Bitsy Tandem.
Hi, everybody.
So, the reason we're having Bitsy on is because she's actually launched a Kickstarter this February for, I want to make sure I get the proper title right. Okay.
I got this.
I hope it's what I'm seeing here and I'm not like missing something. It's Maiden in Disguise manga #1. Is that what the Kickstarter's for, or that's just part of it?
That's the Kickstarter title. Yeah, that's
Title.
what it's for. So the comic itself is Maiden in Disguise new game because we're redoing it.
That's right.
Yes.
So I sent over the stuff you sent us, like the free chapters and stuff that you have. We've been looking it over, trying to get refreshed and stuff like that. And I know Phil was able to get pretty deep. I even quizzed him on it, and Phil just kind of went on a rant on what it was about, which is pretty cool. Basically, the overall plot, it's kind of two different worlds, essentially. You have the in-game world, which is, Aoterra and all that stuff, and then you have the modern-day stuff, where it's just a girl playing games, trying to get through everyday life and stuff like that, which is...
very close.
Dang it.
So Eoterra is the planet that the girl is on.
Okay.
Yes. So close.
I was reading
And
through
the
and I'm
video
like,
game world is actually...
I was like, I
Is it
understand
Luminarian?
this.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, the video game world is Luminarian. You got it.
Okay.
I was actually going to say, as someone didn't get a chance
It's
to check out all the material, did you want to give us a bit of a pitch on what it is? For people listening.
Which one? Who? Me?
Yeah,
You.
do you want to give us a bit of a
Quick
pitch about what the project's all about?
Sure. Do you want I could like do my fancy one or just kind of tell you guys? I'll just tell you guys. I don't know where my fancy one is. I have to read that one. So it's about a gamer girl on the planet Eoterra. And so I world built an entire planet, not just for her, but for all our comic stories. So we've got a little multiverse, and that's coming soon. And then it follows Eliana, and she is 14 right now, just entered high school, and she just revealed herself as like who she is out of character because her video game character, Elrond Daggernar, is super famous.
Yeah, like almost weirdly so sometimes. Like in a good way. I mean, like on an ice cream ad, sort of like.
Yes, I love the ice cream ad. Yeah, there's a whole story behind the whole ice cream thing. Yeah, he's so she live streams him as him. So she does full like voiceover modulation and like is that character. And so when we follow him in game, it is like his life. So we like transfer into the Luminarion solar system because that's the actual game we're building. Like a tabletop game is the Luminarion Legend of Worlds. So it's the whole thing. There's so many layers. I don't make anything simple. So
That sounds awesome.
So he's super famous in game, out of game, and she just went to a live tournament, and so they saw her face for the first time ever, and it's been like 3-4 years since she's been playing this character and getting really popular with him. And each person on Eoterra can only play one character, so that's part of like your higher role play servers. Everyone plays your individual character, and so every cast of Maiden in Disguise, well, almost everybody has a video game character as well, and so it's kind of cool to like see who they are in game and out of game because they could be completely different people, like Ellie. Yeah, so it follows her struggle with like, who am I? Is like the big premise because Elrond Agrenar is Elrond Agrenar. Everyone knows who he is. Who is Ellie? How is she supposed to live up to that? Like, she's not a, she's just not a, 7 foot tall half dragon man.
Now, I'd love to know a little bit of insight into how you made that decision. Like, why make a female character play this definitely almost over masculine dragon man character?
So that stems from just being a gamer girl and a lot of the weirdness that comes along with that. So I kind of personally completely gave up on playing with other people online quite a few years ago because we always get like the, are you hot? Can I date you? Like, are you really a girl?
Yeah. Are you using a voice modulator? Because you sound like a girl. Are you really a girl?
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just bad. And it's gotten better over the years, thankfully, but there's still, the creepy people.
Yeah, I still hear
But,
stuff like that all the time whenever I play a game. Like I'll be playing Call of Duty or something, and
Sure.
there'll be like a couple friends in one of the parties talking, and you'll hear one of them, and it's a girl, and everybody else in the lobby goes, "Oh, was that a girl? Was that a girl?" And I'm just like, God, why? Just play the game.
The one that I see,
cringy.
the one that I see that I hate, like, there's some great female streamers out there. One of them that I watch is Ammunition. Ammunition. I can't say it. It's a pun on ammunition. But anyway, so like some of the clips that I've seen and some of the streams that I've watched is like, oh, we could have won that if we weren't playing with this woman, with this girl. And it's like, dude, whatever. She had like more headshots than you. She knocked down more of the other team than you. Like, stop being horrible.
Yeah, people
and that's
suck.
Exactly why I wanted. Yeah. So Ellie is like this tiny, girl, and like there's a lot of that, like, you're a girl, you can't be a professional. Right. You're a girl, you can't be the best. You're a girl, so you could never, win any esports competition, like no matter what. And so she is everything every other gamer wants to be, and nobody knows she's a girl. So she's kind of freaking out going into high school. Like, if normal people in my classroom are, not okay that I'm a girl, like, is it going to be okay for me as a person to release that to the public? Should I hide it? So she spends most of Maiden in Disguise hiding who she is from the friends she builds and just her fans online. And it's her coming to terms with like who she is and coming out as like, yes, I'm a gamer and I'm a girl. And I, eventually she'll understand what that means to her and be able to be the Elrond Daggernar she is on the inside. So coming of age, I kind of.
As someone who aspires to be like a voice actor, like I eventually hope to eventually land like a role in something. I spend a lot of my time like getting into the mind of a character, the mind of text. However, how does one create a news article within a comic about a person that someone is playing that was a male character? Like when you're talking about
Isn't
layers upon layers, like how does that work?
Yes. My mind is insane. That's how that works. But a lot of that is actually, my husband is super helpful. So he'll keep me on like my continuity, and I'll be like, ideas. And then like, so make sure that it's all layering correctly. But I could tell you like the value of a Neoterran credit, what the hot springs smell like. It's lemons, because I'd said so. Like, there's so much little world building stuff that'll never really be in the comic, but it's just like, I love that. That's the best part for me, is making those layers. Is like, we're on a different planet. These are aliens. Their biology is not the same. I have a different mating cycle that you'll never know about. It's there. And all my countries and continents. And then Luminarion has 8 playable planets. and each one of them is not just ice planet, fire planet. Like they've got different biomes and diversity, and yeah, that's my bread and butter. That's where I thrive. Is that world creation and that complexity and that like I made an ice cream brand for a world that doesn't exist in a comic, and yeah, one day it will be real though. It will eat my ice cream.
One day, hopefully soon.
I know, right? It's such, if you like zoom in and like read the flavor, it's like so good.
I'll have to do that.
I was gonna ask what the flavor is.
So it's Mookie Mookie macadamia nut. Mookie Mookie means muscle
Oh.
muscle here in Japan.
That's awesome.
Right? So I'm like thinking, I'm like, ooh, it would have like a I forget if the base, I think it might be caramel, and then there's like the chocolate covered macadamia nuts from Hawaii in there, and then like some sprinkling of like white chocolate and other chocolate, and it's just like I go too hard. I go too hard on all this stuff. Everything. I can't. There is no easy mode.
There is no try.
That's
There is
awesome.
no try.
So speaking of living in Japan, how did that come about? Like, especially as someone who wants to make comics, and I mean, not who wants to, but is making a comic. But like, I mean, you're obviously in one of the comic epicenters of the world, in mangaka and stuff like that. So, like, how did that come about?
So my husband and I had kind of been talking about it for a while. It's always been a goal for me. I don't know if Gage remembers. I used to want to live here because the ninjas lived here, and I was going to be a ninja. And I was going to be a samurai when I got, more mature.
Yeah.
But like the reasons changed, but I've always wanted to move here. So we found the JET program, which is the Japanese English Teaching Exchange, and it's competitive. It's hard to get into, but we came and visited for our belated honeymoon, and having that experience being in Japan gave us a leg up. So we had to apply 2 years in a row, but we got it the second time. And it's really stressful. They just place you wherever. So we didn't know where we were going to live until like a month before, and it was really just we had to sell everything. We put everything into a rental car and brought it up to Gage's house. Sorry. My stuff. I missed my stuff. My gaming PC mostly.
Yeah. It just kind of sits in the corner and gets booted up every other month or whatever to get backed up.
So one of the reasons I ask about Japan and whatnot is a lot of the architecture in the comic, it seems influenced by Japanese architecture. So I was just wondering, was that a decision before or after you moved?
So it was kind of an accident, actually. So it how do I say this in a good way? I I don't draw backgrounds. My secret is out. So I don't do any of that. I commission other artists, and there are a lot of free backgrounds available for commercial use. And as long as they're commercial use, in the back of the book, you'll see a list of contributors. Those are usually the background artists. So I tried. It didn't work well. And like it took me 10 years to get good at people drawing. So it's just there's a lot of, especially here in Japan, there's a lot of communities to provide like backgrounds for games and books and stuff. So it was kind of an accident. Like, yeah,
I honestly think that's a great inspiration. I mean, that shows that, you don't necessarily have to be good at every single part of, the thing to create what you want to. So I think that's awesome. I think that showing people that there are other resources available to them if they're not good at one thing versus another, that they can still get that thing out there that they want to get out there. So that's awesome.
Definitely. I mean, just look at like Marvel. You've got one person writing and like 18 people drawing. You've got, a storyboard artist, you've got the penciler, you've got the ink, you've got someone who'll do the tones or the colors. There could be 2 people for coloring. It's just a lot of people go into making like a single issue of something in, a highly produced AAA company. And so why shouldn't I have assistance?
100%.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. 100%. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So on that, how long would a regular issue sort of take to get out?
Ideally, if I'm really burning the oil, I can get a chapter out in a month, more like a month and a half. But depending on my motivation levels and my focus, I can get a chapter out a month, and the books tend to be around 8 to 10. Well, no, that's a bit much. More like 5 to 8 chapters, depending on the book. So if it's just me, about a year a book is pretty much all I can do, which takes a while. I've been chatting with a company who can actually help replicate my style and get a little bit more, team going. They're expensive, but if we have some extra from the Kickstarter, I'm going to invest in having them help with some of the chapters, and maybe we'll be able to get book 2 out by December because if they do every other chapter, we could get it out by December. But we'd really have to go hard on this Kickstarter. It's like we're almost 50% funded, and I'm positive we'll get funded, but we need to hit 200%, 300% to really be able to get that second book out this year. So it's tough. It's a long time.
And have you always had a passion for drawing?
One more time?
Have you always had a passion for drawing and artwork and things like that?
Kind of. I love art. I've never been good at drawing. It's still, I wouldn't call it a passion. I draw because I have to.
Yeah.
So I originally wanted to write novels as a kid, and I'm dyslexic, so it just never worked. And one day I started doodling my, book instead, and I'm like, it's ugly, but it's getting the point across, which is better than my words were doing. So that kind of spurred that along, and now once in a while I'll be like inspired, and I'll be drawing, and I'm like, I love this. But usually it's a daily slog where I force myself. I'm like, get something done, Bitsy, draw. Because comics aren't really the goal for my company. They're just kind of the stepping stone.
So it's more about the storytelling and the moments.
Yes. Yeah. And the storytelling and the world building. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So to back up for just a second, how disappointed were you when you found out ninjas weren't really a thing?
I was pretty disappointed. I'm like, what? They're just the common folk rising up? Oh, I see.
I also like the samurais, the more mature ninjas. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's about the time where I was like, I'm going to be a samurai. Yeah, I even joined Kendo and learned the whole form and everything. That's fun. I got a lot of bruises from that. My Kendo sensei was intense. He was really nice. He was just hit like nobody. Freaking so hard. It was ridiculous. But yeah, I've had to give up on a lot of those little dreams, like becoming a samurai or Laura Croft, or
Right.
It's never too late. It's never too late.
My aged body.
Hey, Ben and I are 35 and 34, or 34 and 34. You're going to be 35 this year? I can't remember, Ben.
I can't comment.
Okay. Well, we're 34-ish, so it's never too late. It's never too late.
It's just so funny.
So you said
you just.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna.
No, go for it.
Getting older.
Oh.
Just getting older as a human person, it happens faster than you think. I thought I had until my 40s before I started noticing, and now I'm like, what's this going on with my face? My knees are killing me. I threw my neck out the other day by just going for a run. I'm like, what in the world?
You wake up and you're like, why is my knee so sore? I didn't do anything, sir.
Yep.
I just can't believe it.
So you mentioned that you have bigger plans than just, the comic, and I heard the tabletop mentioned earlier. So tell us more about that. That's something that I don't know much about in the grand scheme of what we're talking about today. So I'd love to hear more about that.
So tabletop gaming and gaming in general is a huge passion of mine. So I've always wanted to make a video game, but that's huge. So the idea is we'll make a tabletop game and that'll be super successful, right? And then we'll start pitching to companies and find someone who will want to work with us, because we don't want to sell the game to a company, but if we can find one who's like, yes, that's a good idea, let's, we'll put some skin in the game, and then we'll front and maybe do a Kickstarter and work with somebody. Maybe, I don't know, MiHoYo would be fun. They do Genshin Impact. I just love their art style.
So
But
good, right?
That'd be pretty awesome.
anybody who can get it going, it's a big game. It's got 8. By the time the video game is ready, there will be 9 playable planets. Spoiler. That'll come up later in Made in Disguise. There's another planet coming. Shh. But I've been
Don't
building...
worry, only like 600 people will see this. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Maybe one of them will back the Kickstarter. I love
My
you.
friend in the family with spoilers, you know?
Yeah.
I just get too excited. I can't keep anything a secret. I made my husband a Valentine's like 2 days ago, and I gave it to him the same day I made it. I'm like, I've got a whole week. I couldn't handle it.
Don't feel bad about that. I recently had some Valentine stuff that came together. And of course, my wife asked me a question right when I was putting the transaction through. And I was like, I'm not doing anything. So I totally get that. I totally get that.
I get teased so hard about it too, because 2-3 years ago now, our first Christmas as a married couple, I just blurted out what his gift was while I was doing the dishes. I just didn't even think about it. It just came out, and he's never let me live it down. Oh dear. What were we talking about?
Right.
Oh, the tabletop game.
Random, my wife basically found the ring and stuff for the wedding proposal. And so I ended up abandoning my original plan of proposing, and then did something spur of the moment instead to try and offset the whole thing. Not to go too deep into that story, but just I absolutely know that feeling, and she teases me about it all the time, so I get it. But yes, back to the tabletop game.
Yes,
more than you know, by the way.
So every single year I say we're gonna have the Kickstarter next year. That's been 3-4 years now. So we're gonna have the Kickstarter next year, I hope. It's the plan. Redoing Maiden in Disguise has thrown a wrench into my plans. My 5-year plan was, turn 25, start a different project. I'm turning 26 in a few weeks, and I'm like, crud, I'm redoing that project. Oh well. But yeah, it needed it. Maiden in Disguise really needed it, and it's looking really good. It's very fulfilling seeing something that you were like, I made it and it was okay, but this is what it was supposed to be. So now I'm like,
so
I know that
makes me wonder.
I've redesigned all of our shows 4 times.
Oh
where
yeah.
I did all the layouts and everything, and then a few weeks would pass, and it's I'm gonna make them all again, and I just completely changed everything. And a few weeks pass, completely changed everything. Yeah,
it's been stable for 3 weeks.
Well,
I'm pretty sure
this one actually took
weeks.
me. This background I made an Unreal Engine, and it took me 3 hours to put together. So it's this is it. This is what I'm using from now on, because that took a long time.
Sweet. I'm excited to see it. I haven't seen the new background.
Yeah, it's cool.
So the version of the comic that's on Webtoons that you can find, Maiden in Disguise, is that the new art or is that the original art?
You can find both. So I changed the old one, which was just Maiden in Disguise, to mid, no longer updating, so people know don't read this unless you want some cringe. If you want some cringe, go for it. But so Maiden in Disguise new game on Webtoon is the comic we're kickstarting. I want the base chapters to be free, just coming from low income families and stuff. It's I feel like it's important to make as much free as you can. So the base chapters will always be free, only in scrolling format. If you want the book format, you can only get it in the book or on the Kickstarters. And then in those books, you have mini comics and other information and other cool art and stuff. Make it special. And but the point of the Kickstarter is to get the publishing costs for 2 books and the translation fees, because we are translating it into Japanese. And we're going to do that for all the books. They will all be in Japanese. Because I've got like a fan base here in our little town, but they can't understand it. They're just like, I love your art. You posted stuff and it's great. And I'm like, thanks. One day you'll be able to read it, I promise.
So does that mean you speak Japanese as well?
Yes. Not fluently by any means. I
Sure.
can't read Japanese either. Aaron can read the stuff. Good gosh. I can barely get through like hiragana and maybe some katakana. Kanji, like I know like 10 kanji. But yeah, I can have a general conversation. It won't be good and my grammar sucks, but they get what I'm saying. I work part-time at a bakery and we figure stuff out.
Nice. That's awesome.
A lot of it is like, let's try, and like bad Japanglish. They'll bring me something like new to eat, and they're like, let's try. Gifto, let's try. And I'm like, awesome. Free snacks.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
You haven't mixed up the salt or the sugar yet?
Right. So
Ooh.
they don't trust me with that stuff. I fold the boxes that the cakes go into.
Smart.
Sometimes they'll give me a knife and I can cut the strawberries in half. But yeah, they're like, the gaijin gets to do the grunt work. So I'm like, Mom, this sweep.
That's awesome.
Speaking of
Yeah,
gaijin,
they're real nice people.
since you've gotten there,
Okay.
have you watched Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift?
Yes, we started watching all the Fast and Furious. Here it's called Wild Speedo.
Really? Oh
Yes.
my god.
Awesome.
So
All right.
I was trying to explain to somebody what like a stick to your guns mean, and I'm like, main character from Wild Speedo. And they're like, oh, nice, I know.
Oh, that's a fantastic.
All right.
That's
Yeah.
great.
I just had to ask because it's semi-relevant because it
It's-
takes place in Japan.
Right? I don't really like that one because my favorite character dies, and I'm like, y'all suck.
How,
sure
how
nobody
many of
likes
them have
that
you
one.
watched?
We just watched the last one that came out in 2019 last week or the week before.
Okay, so Fate of the
I
Furious.
think
Well,
we're caught up. One I didn't really like that
So-
one either. The one where his kid got kidnapped or whatever.
have you seen the trailer for Fast 9 yet?
The new one? Not. I don't think so. I don't watch trailers.
Okay, if you liked
Stop
Han,
it,
and,
Gage.
if you
Stop
liked,
it.
I was gonna say,
Stop it.
if
Stop
you
it.
liked Han and Tokyo Drift, watch the trailer for Fast 9.
Okay.
Just watch it.
You stop spoiling it.
That's not really a
Gage
spoiler;
spoils
it's a
everything.
trailer.
Hey Gage, what is
The
the
trailer.
lead
That's why I
actor
don't
from
watch
Tokyo Drift?
trailers.
What's
What
up,
is the
Ben?
lead actor from Tokyo
The
Drift's?
favorite
Oh, Lucas. God, that's the best
How
part.
does he feel about his life, Gage?
Best part about Tokyo Drift is the main character. He's so bad. I don't want your
I
life.
know.
He's so bad.
He's so bad. It's It's
He'll
Yeah.
never
Drift?
be
What do you
able to
mean,
stand
Drift?
Up to me.
Of course, Phil's got to come out with his Vin Diesel impression and outclass me.
Every time. Every time.
Maybe you can voice Rayonix. We were talking and we're like, who's gonna voice Rayonix, which is the father figure of Elrond, because he's like a lore character, which just means he's the son of my D&D character who I put into the video game world, because we talk about complicated things. I'm always complicated. So Rayonix, Big Papa Ray, is like a big like story point for the overarching game. And we're like, who should voice him, Vin Diesel or The Rock? And I'm like, I think Vin Diesel should voice Big Papa Ray, and The Rock should voice Elrond because he can do a little more of that like, flirty.
Nice,
I'm
That's
like,
funny.
yes. A battle. Fight.
man. That'd be a great showdown.
So with Maiden in Disguise, so how much of it takes place in the game world and how much of it takes place in the real world?
I would like to say 50-50, but it might bank on the real world a little bit more, especially in the first volume. It's hard, especially like introducing a character. Like Elrond's an easy character to introduce because he's got that like Tony Stark vibe and stuff, and so like you know who he is. He knows who he is, so you know who he is. Ellie doesn't know who she is, so it takes a bit more time to really get to know her character, and I want to set that up in the first book. So a lot of the first book is going to be IRL, and then it'll end going back into the game, and then book 2 will mostly be game, and so it'll kind of switch off and on, book Earth, well not Earth, Eoterra game, and if the whole Eoterra thing's confusing you, my interactive map is almost done. Yeah.
Now, does that include all 9 worlds though? Sorry, 8
no,
worlds.
Eoterra is just the planet. Luminarion is the video game.
Right. I was just saying, is it going to include all your interactive map? Is it going to include all?
Oh, no.
That'd be a lot of work.
Eoterra.com. Maybe later. Yeah, I'm like, I can afford one $500 interactive map. Thanks. just
right.
one.
Right.
I can't believe how cheap it is. I found a company in Russia. They're awesome. They're doing a great job. I'm loving it. But like
awesome.
Everyone else was like, I could help you with your website for like $8,000 and not do anything, and not make your interactive map. And I'm like, how about no?
Yeah.
So,
there's definitely some people out there that are like, hey, I'll help you with this, but I'm going to charge you, an arm and a leg. I was looking at an artist like last year for, I forgot what it was. I think it was like album art or something last year. And I'm like, oh, I like this guy's art. I wonder how much it costs. And I was talking to his agent. It's like, oh, it's for this kind of work.
He is an agent.
Yeah, it was like
2,000,
around $2,000. And I'm like,
yeah.
Look, like I'm full time in a lead position, and I make like $1,400 a month. I'm sorry, I can't pay you $2,000 for 4 days of work. I'm out.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane. A lot of artists, you can find some really great people on ArtStation. If they don't have a company or a rep, they'll usually charge around 500. I found as a base mark. Nice. So my map was 500, and that's why we kickstarted the book years ago, was to buy the map in the first place from the same guy who did all the map art for, I keep saying StarCraft, but it's the Pathfinder that's in space. I forget what it's called. There's a star in the name, but Space Pathfinder, he did all the maps and planets for that, and I love his art. It's amazing. And so he did our visitor guide map, and it's like, woo! We went 200% on that Kickstarter, so my digital book became a physical book. Fancy.
Very cool.
Wait, is it really called Starfinder? No.
Oh yes, it is Starfinder. You're right.
That's funny.
Right.
That is, yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah, I would hope so. It was $500.
It's really good.
Recently, I've been like, why can't I charge $500 for my art? So I'm like, 300 maybe for full body. Like, it only took me 10 years to learn how to do this.
Right.
But yeah, art's expensive, but I kind of feel like it should be, but then there's also the accessibility of it's tough.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's a world out there. We have to live in it either way.
Meanwhile, Gage just made a fully animated intro for one of our shows for free.
Right.
I do everything for this channel for free. I produce it, I host it, I make all the layouts.
Feel
it's
that.
fun, though. It's a lot of fun.
I did the logos. I did the logos.
You did like 2 logos. Matt did a logo. Bitsy did a logo, and Robin did a logo. Actually, I'm gonna say
I've got some stuff coming up for that thing that we're doing that we can't talk about yet.
True.
That's true.
Okay, I'm gonna quickly.
A lot of Photoshops.
You guys won't be able to see it, but for everybody else, I'm putting up the SassCast logo right now. That SassCast logo was designed by Bitsy, so there. Now it's in the center of the screen. Everybody can see it. Cool. Now I'm going back to the proper logo for the show.
No, she did one other one, didn't she? Other than the
banner?
There was a couple variations of the Simply Sassy logo, and then we changed it to say the SassCast when we decided to use that. That way we can kind of differentiate all of our stuff.
I feel like I should really relate to this main character, being someone that can't show their face on camera, you know, for professional
Can't
reasons.
or
But
Right.
one day, hopefully, you know.
maybe one day. Don't worry, we're
No.
trying really hard to get you fired, Ben, so you can show your face.
Oh, dude, I know, right? Nick
What?
was.
Nick was really trying. That was fantastic.
You know, call my boss, you know.
Hilarious.
Now, how does it feel to like see streamers and stuff actually create avatars that they're streaming from now? Like it's becoming super popular. It was pretty small like a couple years ago, but now it's and
Yeah,
YouTubers.
they've come out of the woodworks. I keep wanting to make one. I should have done it when it was popping on TikTok, but I just like didn't have the time. I was doing a 3D thing at that point, and yeah, it's been crazy. Like, because when I made Maiden in Disguise, streaming your video wasn't a thing really. Like, you mostly would just record yourself and then upload it to YouTube. Like, 'cause this it was quite a few years ago, and yeah, there wasn't really a lot of streaming. Twitch was like a baby. People were just starting to trickle over, and like seeing that build up, I'm like, oh wow, like because originally I was gonna have it. She was like on her own blog where she did the videos, and now I'm like, oh, I guess there can be a platform for it, and everybody just is on the platform. I'm like, look at that. So it's been kind of interesting to see that come up. And then with the VTubers now, it's like, it just makes me want to make one for Elrond. But yeah, it's cool. I like them. I like getting into character and being a character and acting out like you're playing a game as a different person. But I never expected it. It was all like surprise. I'm like, oh, I see. There are ways we can do this here.
Definitely.
So, yeah, little bamboozled.
Now, I do also need to know where you got that awesome beanie from.
Oh, my beanie. So this one is just from Hot Topic. I had one that had Gigi on it from one with Calcifer. No, that's the wrong one. Gigi is the cat from the which one? Studio Ghibli. Shoot.
Yeah.
Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yes, Gigi is the cat from Kiki's Delivery Service, and it had his face on it, and I loved it. And it got put in the dryer, and it's dead now. So this is the replacement. It's okay. I have a tendency for losing my favorite hats. I was on not the Shinkansen, just the typical railway up in Tokyo, and it was like rush hour, so they shove you in there. And I had a full-on panic attack in the middle of the subway, like car, and my beanie fell off, and people like the doors opened, and everyone rushed out, and I got shoved outside of the car, and like I was fainting. I couldn't see. It was like hot. I'm like trying to unzip and like my jacket and fan off, and my beanie gone. My favorite one, my hippo. It was a hippo, custom made.
Oh no.
So I hope it didn't fall onto the tracks and die. I hope it fell in the car and someone found it and loves it. And
I like to think it's a little orphan child that's just walking along and he's found it and he's had it all his life.
Yeah.
Keep them warm all this time.
Somebody found it and loves it
Yeah.
in Tokyo somewhere. But I'm like, I'm never getting on that again. I am never doing a train in Tokyo unless it's like the Shinkansen, just going through Tokyo. I'm like, don't pack me in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We typically just ride our tandem bike now. So I'm just like, we'll just bring the bike. Like, we can bring it on the plane. We've done it before.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What we're talking about. I keep getting off
I
track.
don't know. Ben got us off track that time. That wasn't you.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of both.
That's normally how it goes. Yeah.
Mainly Ben, yeah.
Ben is always.
I just needed to know because it's so cool.
As long as
Is.
people are entertained, that's the. I mean, if these people are enjoying it, that's all that matters.
That's true.
Nobody ever enjoys
They
our
like it.
shows.
Hey.
I'm sure like 5 people really do. They just
We
won't
got-
tell you.
Yeah.
We got
Lurkers.
comments on our last video, Yeah.
Shout out to those
Right.
5 people. We love
Right.
you.
Shout out.
It's funny because there's there's lurkers on like my page. They won't interact. They won't click. They won't like they won't interact at all. But they're there, and I'm like, who are you?
Yeah, that's
I'm like, I think like if you're here because you love me, Kyundesu, thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, if there's anything I've noticed about like the people that interact with something versus the people that don't, I had a semi-viral tweet not too long ago. We won't go over like what it was, but 269,000 people saw it, but only like 3,000 actually really engaged with it. So it's like
Right?
1/100th of the people that interacted or that saw it interacted with it. So it's just
Yeah.
it's interesting to see that sort of thing.
yeah. I
So
hate looking
like
at
earlier
stats
I
like
was
that.
saying like if 300 people watch this video and one of them backs the Kickstarter, even for like $5 or $10, like that's better than most things. Like that's a
Definitely.
win.
Definitely.
You could be that win. Ah, yeah, it's crazy. Being a creator is really hard, and a lot of people don't see how much work and effort and love we put into this stuff, and it's sad. Like,
Yeah.
like we love you, and we want you to love what we're creating. You don't even have to like us. It's just like if you're enjoying stuff and like smiling, like sometimes that's all that matters. Like you could tell me you like it. That would make my day. Just like
Yeah.
a thumbs up, a star on my website. The like button is a star. You can give people purple stars. So I'm like,
Nice.
just give me a star.
Just give
Please.
Bitsy a star, people. Come on, just one star.
Yeah, go give a star.
If all 5 of you go out there and just give her 1 star, it would make a day. You know,
5 stars. 5 out of 5.
5 stars.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, about the board game, or the tabletop game, is that literally a board game, or is it like a tabletop RPG, like a D&D or Pathfinder, or what exactly is it? And then is it based on the game world, or is it based on the Earth type world?
It's based on the game world. Luminarion Legend of Worlds is a tabletop RPG, more like D&D, and I love the full set of like the dice, so up to the D20, probably just your standard set of dice and the game books and some papers, all you would need. And of course, we're going to make more. Like if we kickstart it, there's going to be like maps and miniatures and all the things that make D&D nerdy fun and great. But yeah, we're working on getting a primer out soon. I would like the primer to come out during the Kickstarter. So hopefully when the website is live again after the map is done, we'll have a primer ready and it'll be free. It will be like copywritten and published and stuff, so it might also be available for print depending if I can front that cost, but will be free for them digitally for everybody, so you can just get a taste and be like, okay, so this is the world that Ellie lives in, this is the world that Elrin lives in. I understand these two things as separate entities now. I can go on my day and not be totally confused. So that's kind of like the idea. And then we're going to take the game primer and find people who are interested in being writers and helpers and artists, and because I would like it to be like not just one artist, but a bunch of artists, and support as many people in the community as we can, so that when we launch for the Kickstarter, we can get the game book, the planets descriptions book, and the races, and then like one would be to build your character, one would be about the locations and the peoples, and then one would be just stories that you could use as campaigns. And so I'd like to have those 3 nice, pretty hardback books, and the PDFs as well, and like some printoutable like sheets for the game, and it would be like D&D. And
Nice.
then
Very cool.
and after that, we'll take our game books and be like, "Hi, company, you make pretty games. Make my pretty game." And maybe in 20 years, we'll have a video game.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
That'd be
Thanks.
really cool, because I love the setting of it where it's like, I mean, both settings. So you kind of have like the modern real world stuff, but then you do have that sci-fi fantasy in game. That would be really cool for a like a video game concept. Be able to you're playing a video game inside of a video game. That's awesome to be able to like jump back and forth
Right,
between those two,
right?
and yeah, that'd be a lot of fun,
Everyone wants to play as a dragon man, you know?
right?
Right.
That'd be awesome.
The dragon race, we haven't named it yet. We keep going back and forth on like Dragon Blood, Draconic Scion. So we haven't named the race yet. So it isn't going to be in the primer. I also need to redo the art. It's kind of I made logos for like each of the races and they all turned out beautiful except for the dragon race. And I'm like, dang it, I need to redo it. It's ugly. So it's right now it's considered an unlockable, race. So it's not in the primer. So if you wanted to like a pretend game, because we'll have enough in the primer where you could like mock games, like mini ones, like just small kind of play testing stuff. Yeah, right now they won't be available just yet. Saving that for the big one, I guess, for the big book. There's still some stuff to hammer out for that. There's a lot that goes into these things. We've been building the locations and stuff, and last year I invested a lot of money in getting like splash art for each one. I think I've sent them to Gage a few times, but there's like they're pretty cheap, thankfully, this because they're just splash art. They're just like concept, so loose, and but they're so cool. And each planet has a history, and each setting has got like all this stuff going on, and keeping that like the continuity of that is really difficult. We've got it spread out over like 4 or 5 different like not just like it's on Google Drive, it's on Evernote, it's on Grammarly, it's like everywhere. It's like when you have a mess on your desk, it's like a digital desk mess. And so piecing that together and keeping it like the continuity and building that slowly has been a lot harder than I thought it would be. But it should be pretty awesome.
If you could go back and tell 10 years ago self one thing, what would it be? Like as far as what you've learned and everything.
Probably only one thing. I can't say two things.
No, I mean, just like what would you tell your 10, your like 10 years ago self if you could now?
I would tell her that your art will be beautiful one day, and it's okay that you're struggling with it right now because it might take until 2020, but it will be beautiful one day. Because my art like just got good like last year. I'm not even kidding. And then I would also tell her you should probably get on Kickstarter earlier and focus your attention on that platform. Yeah, that would be like the most helpful because I didn't think that you could do a Kickstarter unless you were doing a big project. I didn't know you could do it for like single issue comics. Those are like 20 pages. And like
I have like 3 of them. single issue comics.
People love that stuff. I thought I had to be like already established and a big thing and do like and it's like no, you can do these quick starters, you can do small goals, you can fund your projects without feeling like you have to work, a full-time job and kill your body. So I don't do good at full-time jobs. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like it's just yeah. People are made different and my body is not strong. So my brain is.
I think we all can feel that, definitely.
Absolutely.
It's hard. Yeah, and everyone's different. And it's like I didn't realize how different people were. Like I thought there was everyone else and then there was me and I was a like me.
Oh, no.
And it took me a long time to realize like each person is an individual with their own pain and their own struggles. And I think it's just because I was always an outcast. Like I was never a part of the in group, and you always like see it as an outsider. Like all of these girls have blonde hair and they're busty and they're gorgeous and they all like the same thing. And why am I so different? Why am I so weird? What's wrong with me? But we all have strengths and weaknesses. We all have quirks and we're all strange. So my motto has been like to be stranger. So I call my fans the strangers because we're just a little stranger than everyone else. And that's what makes us awesome. It's
That is
good
awesome.
to be a stranger.
Absolutely.
And you take a lot of that personal experience and put that into your writing?
Definitely, definitely. You can see a lot of that in Ellie, a lot of my struggles going through school and being, a tomboy with a shaved head and not knowing, like, I've always been salty. I was born a girl. So there's like that struggle between wanting to be my own woman, I guess, and also just not wanting to be a woman at all. So yeah, you can definitely see a lot of parallelisms in Ellie for that. She's probably the only character that is that much like me. Like there's every time you build a character, there's almost always a little bit of you in it. Like not always. I wouldn't say I'm like Billiam in any way, but uh, he's the AV club leader, and his glasses are like this big. But yeah, usually, especially main characters. But Ellie is the only main character who is like truly something raw inside of me, like it's really sometimes it's hard to like tell her story and show some of that stuff because it's so real. I want to deal with like anxieties and mental health and real struggles with real people, and showing it's not just her. The whole world is full of people who have these things, and how each person individually overcomes their own stuff, because how I get over depression would be different than how you get over depression. I want to do it in a way where, like Avatar: The Last Airbender had a lot of heavy stuff in it, but they always left you, the reader, uplifted, feeling good, feeling like there was still hope. You were always like, "There's so much hope," to quote Katara. So yeah, that's a main goal of Maiden in Disguise, is like to hit those topics to help you grow as a person. If maybe, if you learn a little bit about yourself or about other people along the way, would be fantastic. But at the end of the journey, if you're better off, and I did my job, that's the goal. At the end of the day, that's all I want.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
I mean,
Now, obviously you mentioned Avatar there. Are there any other sort of, whether it's comic books or any other sort of medium that sort of you sort of took inspiration from for your work?
Oh yeah, so I've to this day I have not finished an actual like Western comic book. I've never finished one, but I take a lot of inspiration from manga and anime, and then most of it would be video games. Like Oblivion is a huge inspiration for me. I just something about walking around in Oblivion and that music comes on, and it's just like you feel like you're there, and you feel like anything could happen and there's so much possibility, and it was so inspiring, especially as a kid with my imagination like without any reins on it, just wild and free. Like there's like a lot of that wonder that is still in here is because of Oblivion.
Still one of the best games ever made.
ever.
It's so good.
Yeah, I am so ready for Sky Oblivion. It's looking great.
I keep
Oh
seeing
my
updates
gosh.
for it, and it does look incredible.
Right?
I need to get back to Oblivion. I was honestly thinking about that game today. I was like a couple hours ago. It's like I haven't played Oblivion in a while. I should boot it up and play it.
Right?
You might have to do that today. It's
Yes.
so good.
It's so good.
This is a sign, Gage. This is a sign.
I know. I have to play it now.
I want to play it. I'm gonna need to get a laptop. I keep going back and forth. I'm like, save up my two. I make less than $200 a month at the bakery, so I'm like, save my $200 every month and like get this laptop, or invest it back into my business and get like a chapter every other month,
Right.
or a page. I can get a page every other month from the company. $200 a page to finish my page, not to do the whole page, just to finish it. They're not even doing the backgrounds. I'm like, can we maybe do 150 or just you're just finishing my character art, guys. But
Yeah.
I don't want to complain. They're a great company. They're great people. They're supporting small artists. You know, they have good cause. I'm just like, it's tough. It's tough. I'm like, I need to pick up another day at the bakery.
Yeah.
I make nothing there though. I hate it. I don't. It's because we're in a small town. It's not that Japanese wages aren't great. It's just we're in a small town and they're a small bakery. We're mainly doing this to make sure that, you know, I can stay in the community and don't sit in my hole all day every day and become a gremlin, because that happens very fast. But so they're helping me out, so they're paying me as little as possible because they just can't afford it. So it's, yeah. And I'm also dependent, so I can't legally make a lot of money.
Right.
So it's tough. Money sucks. I hate it. I wish we didn't need it, but we
Yeah.
do. So I'll try and make more, I guess, if I have to.
Yeah, it's yeah, money sucks.
Right.
I think we can all agree on that one.
It'd be so nice to have a computer that could actually play a video game. I'm so like deprived right now. It's just it sucks. It sucks
Yeah.
so bad not having a rig that can play, like even a laptop, like anything. I'm just like, please, doesn't have to have
how long
good
have how long have you
Mhm.
been in Japan now?
Almost 2 years. It's coming up on that this summer. But yeah, all I have is my drawing tablet kind of doubles as a computer, but it's not the best thing ever. Like it does the drawing really well, and I've tried to do it can run some 3D programs, but it's really slow and I have no memory left. Oh, and it's dying. Let me plug it in. Do. But yeah. I'm used to 2 terabytes or 3 terabytes. I don't remember. I had a lot of hard drives in my rig. And I'm like,
Yeah.
got 33 gigs left. And I'm like, oh no. Most, like, half the games I want to download are like more than 33 gigabytes. And I'm just like, crap. I
Yeah.
can't do anything.
Yeah, and your
Yeah, that's
PC's
hard.
so big too. It's like it would
I
be
know.
such a
It
chore to
doesn't
try
need
to
to be
ship
that
that thing.
big. Right? I'm really considering doing a mini rig, like a mini tower. That would be dope if I could get something like that I could just pick up and bring somewhere.
Yeah.
But those are pricey. I was looking into that and I'm like, small things are expensive.
Yes, they
I'd
are.
rather just get a laptop right now. It'd be easier. I need something for my writing on the go too, because I'm starting a couple other comic projects that I'm gonna kickstart and have other people draw. I'm like, I don't want to draw any of that. You deal with the whole thing. But I need
Right.
to write it. So it's like I'd like to be able to like go outside once in a while and like be able to do something without the battery crapping out after an hour. Like that'd be nice.
Right?
Yeah.
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 Hopefully this summer we'll have a steampunk comic launch on our website. That one will
Nice.
be website only. So I'm really excited. I've been putting together a beat sheet and putting the story points up and getting that ready. I need to start scripting it.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, speaking of which, I mean, open platform, like, are you, is there anything else you want to talk about or throw out or, you know, get out there for the world to hear?
Probably, but when people ask me questions, I seize up and can't think of anything.
Me too.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that for everybody. It's not just you or Gage. It's not just a family trait, I
Right.
promise.
Oh, the noses, though. We've got the same
Yeah, we got the noses. All right.
Yeah.
Anybody have
Yeah.
anything else they wanted to ask or talk about or whatever?
I think that we've gone over most of the things that I had kind of in my head. So
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Awesome. Let me
Awesome.
read out the links and everything. Of course, I'll put the Kickstarter link and stuff like that on the YouTube description, as well as the tweet and the Facebook post and all that when I share that. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much
Can
for
I
coming
do a
on the show.
shout
This
out
has
of
been fun.
volunteers? Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
Go
I'm
for it.
glad that like I think you mentioned like I'm on the out of your league, and I'm like I don't feel out of your league, but I feel cool. You know, I feel fancy. Be like out of your league, Bitsy Tandem. I'm like no, really no.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun anytime.
I need to
Definitely.
rename the show Fancy, Super Fancy. That'd be awesome.
Super fan.
It's
not bad.
Yes.
Not bad at all.
Next time I'll be super fancy.
I mean, to be fair, that's a better company name.
Super fancy.
Anything is a better company name than what we got, Phil. Anything.
How did we allow this to happen?
I don't know. I got outvoted.
We all did.
Feel that. I just rebranded last year. It was the Bitzer Publishings. Nobody can pronounce that.
Yeah, right.
And then it limits you to like books. So we rebranded last year, and it's like this is better. I wonder how long I'll be happy with it.
I ask myself that with everything. It's like, oh, I want to do this,
Right.
but how long before I decide I wanted to change the name or whatever? Yeah.
Mhm.
So while Gage is getting that stuff together, what's your favorite
Alright.
part of Japan?
That would be Fukuoka City. Fukuoka is my favorite. It's a big city and it's got a lot going on and it's got some beautiful gardens, but it's super chill. It's like quiet and clean and it has like a homey vibe to it. And it was the first city we came to when we visited, and it was just, I fell in love with it. And every time we've been back, I'm like, ah, yes, I see why I love this city. It's so nice because I don't
And
like a
then-
lot of people, and there's like enough, but not too much.
Nice.
Perfect. I
And
don't
then
like people either.
real quick, besides ninjas, what other kind of expectations were shattered when you moved to Japan? Like what kind of like preconceived notions did you have that you found out weren't a thing or weren't as big as you thought they'd be, or you know?
I, having visited before, like I tried very hard to not get my hopes up, which is really difficult because I am very good at getting my hopes up. So not a lot, not a lot, but there was like the main thing would be like there's definitely bigger language barrier than I thought. Like I thought I would be really good at studying for once in my life and I would learn this language and I'd be able to read and write and talk in Japanese and go on like go to Japanese comiquettes and like speak their language, and it's just not happening. It's such a slow process and I am not a studying person. So I thought I would learn Japanese quicker, and it's been a very slow baby steps. I disappoint myself all the time with my Japanese. But Aaron had a big like shatter moment. For some reason, he thought that anime skirts were real. I don't know if it's just because he's a boy and I'm a girl, but I'm like, no one would wear a skirt that small. Your butt would stick to the seat. Like, no one would wear a skirt that small unless you're going out on the town to attract a mate. You don't wear a skirt like that. And he was like, why are all the skirts so long? He's like, I was told they would be short. He's like, I am so mad. He was like, honestly, like so disappointed.
That's
I'm just
awesome.
like, anime lied to me.
Oh, that's so funny.
I'm like, of course they're long. You think a school would let them be that short? No.
Oh man.
Okay, that was the perfect way to end it. That was awesome.
Definitely.
Now we can get on to links.
So we got a bit.ly link for the great, it reset my position. Hold on.
Bitly link
did you
is
guys?
caps sensitive, just so you know.
Yes, I just figured that out. I was trying to, it's like, okay, if I type it in, is it going to work? And it didn't work. I'm like, it's probably case sensitive. Oh my God. I
didn't
remember
know that
anyway.
one.
It's bit.ly, so
Sorry.
bit.ly/ capital M, lowercase I, capital D, and lowercase book. So it's MID book, but the M and the D are capital. Of course, like I said, I'll have the actual clickable link in the description, in the tweet, all that stuff. That way you can just click it if you want to, because frankly, you're watching this video, so it's going to have the link. So I don't know why I just said it like It's going to be right there when you're watching the video. So yeah, click the link, check out the Kickstarter page. There's a bunch of cool things on there, including the, let's see, where is it? I want to make sure. So yeah, just
I want to
shortly
shout out the lamp.
Oh, wait.
I
So
made a lamp. Somebody needs to buy it. Just
Yes.
saying. Find the lamp.
there's the Aoterra Visitor's Guide, all that stuff on here. It's a super long Kickstarter page. Like seriously, it's got so much information and pictures and all that cool stuff. So check that out and drop a few bucks if you can. It would mean a lot to myself and of course my cousin, because family, support her,
Yeah.
make it a reality because it's
Like
awesome.
family boy.
I just want to say it's all about family.
Thank you, Vin. Thank you for joining us, Vin. Appreciate it.
You did say you might need a Vin Diesel voiceover in the video game in the future. There, Bitsy. There you go.
Right. If we can't get Vin Diesel, I'll call you. My people will find your people.
Sounds good.
Oh my gosh. This was an awesome episode. Thank you
I
guys.
just want to say,
Yay.
Oh yeah, Phil, you got to do your thing.
I just want to say, Bitsy, you're pretty good.
There
Thanks
it
for
is.
being on the show.
There's our Metal Gear Solid for the day. Heck yes. I
I'm
was
looking at
waiting
this.
for it.
Probably the easiest way with the links, I think, is probably I'm looking at your Twitter now, Bitsy. Is it the Bitsy? Is that right? And there's all the links on there.
Twitter is
Yeah, we'll make
I'm
sure.
not super active on Twitter, but you can find me on Twitter. I'm very active on Instagram if you like just pretty pictures. Bitsy Tandem _ the Bitzer, but it'll come up after you type in Bitsy T. I'm the only one. I'm the only tiny bicycle person. And then there's the Facebook page, which is Bitsy the Alien. So, or just find me on Facebook normals and follow, I guess, because I think you can do that now. You can just follow people, can't you? Like
you should be able
you can
to,
just
yeah.
stalk them like random real life humans and be like, I'm gonna follow you,
Yeah.
right?
So yeah, we'll make sure we have all
Please,
that
please
stuff.
don't fire
down
people
there.
watching though. Please don't stalk.
Oh yeah, don't stop. Don't stop.
Stuff.
We are anti-stalking here. That's simply sassy.
But you can definitely follow me. I'm very public and open about everything, even my random tape cuts. Cut by a tape dispenser yesterday. Nothing but a thing.
Ow.
It's on my Facebook.
You're not the
You can
first
read
person to
about
have that happen to you, and you won't be the last. Don't worry.
Just was this big? Tiny little tape dispenser. It attacked me.
Trying to help you.
It's fine.
Oh my gosh. All right. We will. Thank you guys so much for joining. Bitsy, thank you for giving us some of your. Thank you for waking up early to do this. Like that's the
Yeah.
worst thing is getting up super early for a show.
Sorry. It's all good. It's all good.
Okay, if you guys liked it, like I said, hit the links in the description. Check out the Kickstarter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, website. And yeah, if you can, drop a few bucks. We'll see you in the next video.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
That too.
Wait, subscribe to this.